Hi, welcome to REMIC TV. You are watching The Elephant in the Room. I'm Jasmine, and today we have a great show for you. But before we get started, I just want to remind viewers about our contest that we have going on. Click on our contest banner, enter your friends' names, and you have a chance to win $500 just for telling your friends about all the great stuff on REMIC TV. I know you do that anyway, so why not get paid to do it? Enter our contest. Hurry, the deadline is coming up soon for this month. Now, on this show, The Elephant in the Room, we have Dr. Turi. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Turi.
My pleasure, Jasmine. An honor.
Dr. Turi, what do you consider yourself? What is your job title?
My job title is a clinical hypnotherapist, astropsychologist, author, writer, marriage counselor, pilot, engineer, name it.
Wow, so you have fingers in a lot of different pies.
And I forgot that I was also a recording artist, and I graduated from the Royal School of Music in London.
Wow.
Piano.
All right, so let's start with that. Let's go back and start with your beginnings. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, basically, I was born and raised in the south of France, where the great prophet Nostradamus was born. Again, I don't have nothing to do with Nostradamus, apart from that I have the same stars above my head. And I spent many years rekindling his 16th century divine astrology methodology, which led me to create a software that allows me to do predictions that are pretty accurate from what I heard.
Right. Okay, and so you were born in France. Why did you move here?
You know what? I still wonder why.
You still wonder why? Okay, well then let's back up. You tell me about your life growing up in France then.
Well, basically, since I was a child, I had to deal with extraterrestrials, and again, everybody has the right to be skeptical.
Right.
The point is, these experiences have been extraordinary, and as I teach my students, extraordinary experiences breed incredible people that have extraordinary gift to teach, wisdom to share at the same time. And those extraterrestrials have molded my destiny to the point in one of my experience I was downloaded the Cosmic Code Secret, and that was back in August 11, 2001. And since then, my life has changed drastically. 1991, excuse me.
Okay. And you studied in London as well?
Yeah, well, yes, I love music. Being a Pisces, I'm very creative, and I love music and dancing. And I was trained classical, and I ended up being a recording artist and sell my first record. During my day, we didn't have DVDs or CDs. And then other UFO experience transpired into my life, and as I said, this contact has completely and entirely changed the directions where I went into explaining the working of the cosmic codes. And even though that being an ADHD, I was thrown out of school at the age of 14 years old and told that I would never speak English or write or God knows what, I am now teaching who is who in America, scientists, NASA student, police chief, member of the government, celebrities. I'm all over the place. And that indicates, of course, there is a big difference between education and intelligence.
Absolutely. So at the age of 14, you were told these things. How did that make you feel? You'll never speak English? You'll never progress properly?
Well, actually, it stimulated my drive to show them wrong, to prove
yes.
them wrong. And I worked it much harder than maybe I should have done. Instead of doing like the other student at the Royal School of Music, smoking pot and messing around with a young girl, I was just banging my piano for 6 or 7 hours a day, and I ended up graduating in front of 400 students with a distinction cup. So
wow.
that told me when you have a will, when you mean business, you get places in life.
That's very interesting. So you think that it definitely made a difference in actually motivating you rather than discouraging you?
Yeah, I'm coming from the street. My dad died, I was only 11 years old. We are 8 in the family. So at a very early age, I have learned to deal with myself and take care of myself. And I intuitively also knew that not only did I had to work hard, but I had to stay on the right side of the law. So, I'm 62 years old. I never ever had drugs in my system. And probably why I'm still smart, I guess.
Yes. So you came from a background that was perhaps not the best. Tell me about your father and your mother.
Well, my dad died. He was 11 years old. He was in prisoner of war, and when he came out of the war, he didn't have anything left in him, and he died of tuberculosis. And my mom, of course, had to raise us. It was really, really difficult. We were living in a house where there was no electricity, no running water, no bathroom. It was a nightmare where I had to look in the trash for my food. I had to, steal anything, food, to survive. It was just a total nightmare. And during those days at school, my teachers, I guess they took me as a punch ball because I was always in their faces. I couldn't sit 5 minutes. The universe.
That sounds like a really discouraging background, Dr. Turi. We will be right back with Dr. Turi on REMIC TV. And so you mentioned an experience with extraterrestrials that changed your life. Can you tell me about that?
Well, you're talking about 4 of them.
Okay, you tell me all of them.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go straight to the point. The first one, I was about 6 years old, and I was panicked, and I was in the attic. And I saw them in the bottom of my bed, and the only thing I could do is to hide away, hoping that those things would go away.
Well, yes, you were a child. That's really frightening. Yeah.
Very, very frightening. And then I got courageous, and I looked, behind the blanket, see if they were there. And one of them was against my nose, and I passed out. I was so scared.
Oh my goodness.
That was my first experience. The second one, I was dealing. I was taking my sister to where I work, where she was working as a trainee nurse in a French mountain, and we got lost. I ended up dealing with 3 extraterrestrial face to face that were able to read my mind. Literally, I felt like if somebody stick a screwdriver from there to there. And after the meeting, I had a headache for about 3 weeks that I never wish on my worst enemy, and I don't remember where if I ever took my sister anywhere, and she doesn't remember anything either. So that is the second one. The third one was in August 1981, where my brother and I were driving through the vineyard in the way to his discotheque where I was singing, and right there, 30 feet above the car, a flying saucer stopped. It was right that moment you are forced to realize that extraterrestrial and flying saucers are not a product of imagination but very real. And we had again a lapse of time that was missing. It was just incredible to accept, to be forced to realize that these things are real. And the last one was in August 11 again in 1991, and that's where I was sucked, my wife and I, into the belly of a flying saucer. This is where they took the baby that she was pregnant, and this is where they downloaded the Cosmic Code Jurisdictions, which allowed me to do what I'm doing today. And soon after this encounter, I couldn't stop myself to draw signs all over my house and to study Nostradamus and to study any form of astrology. And that's where I started my career and quit the welding engineer job that I had for Pearl Harbor, for the American government, as I was working in Pearl Harbor and in San Diego, US base.
So that's, wow, those are quite some strong stories. So you could say that your influence to start your career is kind of otherworldly.
That's exactly. Yeah. And again, people have the right to be skeptical,
Yes.
And I understand that because this is a very private, very special, very experiences. And I wrote many books where I explain in great detail what happened to me. It's just incredible. But you know what? I got better thing to do than to make up stories. This is very real indeed.
Absolutely. Now, can you tell me about how where you moved from France to America? Can you tell me why?
Well, I met this guy in London, and he told me he was going to help me, and he gave me his business card, and he gave me a couple of quarters. Never seen a quarter before. And then I went to Germany, get a really good job for a while as a welder.
Okay.
And then saved my money, and then I flew to America, and then my gosh, when I flew over the city of Los Angeles, I said, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I hope I meet this guy. And then from there I took the Greyhound to San Diego. Arrived in San Diego, I walked all day. When I finally find the place, I asked these two old people, retiree people, still working on the little shop, if they knew John. And they said, John who? I said, John.
It's a fairly common name to come to America and ask for.
They told me, we don't have any John here, we don't know John. I said, please can you call this number? This number on the card took me nowhere, and I'm still looking for John. So I have no idea, and he was never there. And I have been on radio and television and national everywhere. So this guy, and I always repeat that same story looking for him. He would know about me. I'm all over the place, and I've never heard of him ever again. So how I came here, I was pushed, I was forced, and then that was it.
Well, that is certainly a very interesting beginning to your career. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back with Dr. Turi. We are on the Elephant in the Room. I'm Jasmine Bowen, and you're watching REMIC TV. So go get a drink of water, settle yourself back down, tell your friends about this interesting interview, and we will be right back.